Live, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to find out, see if this new internet does a little bit better than it did before. Quite excited to be here. I'm just going to make sure that everything is going well. In the meantime, if you can, smash those thumbs up buttons. Oh, yep, there we go. There's the screen. I see my silly face. And as far as I can tell, if you guys leave me in the little section down on the side there, I'll know that everything's going, I guess, essentially smoothly in the live chat. So, what an exciting time yesterday. We saw that the Attorney General came out and started to hit Bitfinex with a bunch of interesting information. It actually caused a surge in price in Bitcoin downwards. Can you surge downwards? Yeah, I think so. And noticeably so, but really the Bitfinex price jumped right back up to 5,400, while every other exchange seems to be lagging around the $5,100 area. That means there's almost a $300 difference in price between Bitfinex and the rest of the exchanges right now. This type of market volatility is extremely interesting. So I'm going to just scroll over here. Again, let's make sure everything is working smoothly. I'm not entirely sure that it is. Exchanges. Okay. It says it's working smoothly. I think we'll find out. Anyway, so basically, the Attorney General came out and hit them with which made a pretty big deal. But their response here is actually quite interesting. It says, and this is a quote from Bitfinex. It says the New York Attorney General's court filings were written in bad faith and are riddled with false assertions, including as to the purported $850 million loss at Crypto Capital. On the contrary, they've been informed that the Crypto Capital amounts are not lost, but have in fact been seized and then safeguarded. We are now actively working to exercise our rights and remedies for those funds to be released. And then they go on to quote again saying both Bitfinex and Tether are financially strong, full stop. And both Bitfinex and Tether are committed to fighting this gross overreach by the New York Attorney General's office against the companies that are good corporate citizens and strong supporters of law enforcement. What's entirely fascinating about these sentiments is they're probably not wrong. I would bet that the Attorney General just has no clue how most of this stuff works. It would be really easy to make a mistake in understanding what's going on in this space if you don't really understand Bitcoin. And I would put a big bet on the fact that the Attorney General doesn't understand a whole lot about blockchain, leaving a bunch of vague gray room. So this is entirely interesting. Again, it says both Bitfinex and Tether, which was shared previously, reported they received subpoenas from the U.S. regulators, which were still undisclosed reasons back in December 2017. We actually remember that. There's been a bunch of allegations going around Bitfinex and Tether in general. Now, one of the interesting side topics here is you had TUSD, which is another version of a stablecoin, actually end up jumping up. Look at this, TUSD is currently sitting up 2.5%, and it actually, I think, overall, it had gone up at its high of around 3.5% in the last 14 days. TUSD is being clocked in at. So these stable coins even have a relatively large fluctuation. 3 or 4% on a currency is noticeable. So it's entirely interesting times to be in the markets, to be out of the markets, just to be watching this space in general. I wanted to highlight on that because it was pretty big news, I guess, to some degree. But this is a live stream today, so I haven't been able to do these for a while, and I can see actually already by YouTube's here numbers, they're confused. I haven't done live streams in a while, but basically what I want to do is I want to go over a few of your guys' questions. Now that the internet seems to be going smoothly and everything's working, I want to do maybe once a week on a particular day and a particular time where we do the live stream. That way you guys can get used to it and kind of come ready with any of your questions or thoughts, and we just kind of roll around together. I mean, considering the channel started off with only nothing but live streams, transitioned into vlogs a little bit, and we've been all over the place with content creation. I really appreciate that. Exciting news too, before I jump into the questions, is I actually want to kind of show you guys this here. The newsletter is almost finished. We're rolling through and doing up some of the final edits of this now. And then chapter 2, our second edition of the trading book, is finished. Tools of the Trader. It says you could be free, you can live and work anywhere in the world, you can be independent from routine and not answer to anybody. How you do that? I guess that's the trick of the question, but it is a great quote. So we go down here. You know, this one's mostly about the elements of candlesticks. It gets you into TradingView, but that's all for private members only. So that will be out in your inboxes later today, and the newsletter hopefully. Again, we're aiming at the 28th for that to be released again as well, but if not, if it does come out, we'll actually release it tomorrow early. So we'll start to come up with set times when all this stuff is released for you guys. But let's dive in and take a look at the charts. So I'll get rid of my silly face. So yeah, it was right there. Anyways, okay. So here's Bitcoin's price on Coinbase, currently sitting at 50.98, and then here's Bitcoin's price on Bitfinex. Here's your Bitcoin on Coinbase. Here's your Bitcoin on Bitfinex. As you can see, there's a fairly large arbitrage opportunity between the 5300 and the 5094 spot. Now that's not a small difference, and the reason I believe is because of these allegations set out by the AG. Now I'm not a lawyer, I don't know jack shit about regulation, and especially at that large a scale, but I'm assuming that the AG is probably the one that made the mistake, because when we did my taxes this year, just looking at all of the nonsense on paper, I'm like, I don't even know where to begin, but it's probably wrong. It just looks so absurd. There's so much financial information in such a small area. Anyways, here we go. We were looking for the breakout into the $5,600 area on the candle. We didn't get that. We saw a very, very fast rejection of that for Bitcoin. Not only that, was followed immediately after by this price drop due to the allegations of Tether. Now, what people don't understand, and okay, what is difficult to understand, I don't want to say who's who in this game, but what people often mistake is the relationship between news happening and then the regular market sentiments in general. Now, the market sentiments, we could have been ready for a drop at Bitcoin there anyways. I actually almost moved into TUSD before I went for my walk on the beach, just because I saw we had a weakness below the $5,600 area and we couldn't get up there. And because we didn't close in the daily in that space, it was actually a fairly bearish sentiment. We mentioned that in the video the day after we had made the 5,600 Bitcoin, because the close into 5,600 could have brought us anywhere between 59 and 6,500. There's a big part of the volume profile fill where we are starting to close into. Again, this is why keeping track of your daily sentiments is so important. Now, this 200-day moving cross, what they call the golden cross, isn't looking good. Here you see the MACD is turning down. It's likely that because we started to cross just as we hit the all-time highs, that's not a great sign. We were already seeing that there was, I guess, sluggish momentum in volume moving into Bitcoin in those particular places. So we're looking more and more like this drop is going to take place. Now, it will likely be an ABC pattern, so we might drop down to and we're actually, look here, what am I saying? Go over to the rest of the exchanges, and I did this morning. Bitcoin is running almost across the board at 5,100. So if you actually drop into CoinGecko, you can see that the aggregate across exchanges is 5,220. Again, just showing the downward momentum into the space. So even though I'm charting Coinbase right now, which is showing 50.98, the aggregate of all of the exchanges is actually showing 5,200. Now that's important because you have Bitfinex up here at 53.34, so it's a division of even the difference in Bitfinex, I guess, obviously. But I do believe we're going to break this here. If you look really closely on our exponential moving averages here, this daily candle might close below as a hammer below the moving average. Now, the hammer can actually be sometimes quite of a bullish sentiment, because it means we hit the ground pretty hard and there's not a whole lot of negative selling sentiment. But if we close the volume below the EMA, that's not a very good sign. So I'm going to be keeping a close eye on this. I do suspect we're going to come down further. The fact that we didn't close into the 5,600 on the daily was a warning sign for me. That's why the day after that we made a very specific video saying hey, we didn't close at 5,600. Not a great sign, not a bad sign, but it took any upward momentum for the $5,900 area off the table. As we had mentioned over and over and over and over again, that for everywhere from 5,200 to around 6,000 was in decreasing likelihoods of possibility. Here we made right off the get-go, we made a really nice bull flag. If you wanted to, you're able to ride the bull flag for the extra little bit, but I think we're losing that momentum now. You can see the volume has been decreasing, although most of the volume actually came in yesterday on the sell side. There was a lot of buy that pushed us up into the 5600, but now we're followed by multiple yellow candles, or I guess which would be red on your particular one. Why are my candles actually green and yellow? Or green and red? I don't like this. Candles should be purple on the upside and yellow on the downside. There we go. That's my favorite way to go. Fix the rest of that later. Perfect. So I want to take a look at EOS and Litecoin, but I'm also going to take a look at your guys' questions. A big reason for doing the live stream is so that we can, I guess we can roll along with your guys' questions. So if you have them, get them ready. Nick Starr, right? I see a question here on the side, so let's roll in and answer that one. Nick Starr says, are you aware of the upcoming launch of the Nash exchange? I've never heard of that. They also pay securities in the function of the index fund. You know, there's a few people that have tried to do that. It starts to get into real legal gray area. I think the Binance token was probably the most successful in that type of dividend reward exchange program. Again, they're in gray area depending on who you would ask in the legal regulatory world, because it's just such, when you look at the Howey test, it's absolutely ridiculous, okay? The comments that they make on what could be considered a security is pretty much anything. Anything where you think that there might be a return of value, and it doesn't have to be implied. It can be guessed that you might be returning value on it to kick the Howey test. So everybody's in a legal gray area, yet a lot of these, we know that they don't want to screw the markets over, and that would be one of the worst things that you could do, is come in and hit every one of these regulatory thoughts that are just not very useful to the productive element of a new and budding, I guess, technological I don't know, revolution. I guess it's a technological revolution. Now that'd probably be the easiest way to say it, because then you're going to stub progress. And if you stub progress at an early space in a particular country, that means most of the companies are just going to look for more lenient countries to build their businesses in, which means any of those taxes are going to be running to other countries. So they know that it's not in their best interest to really try to squeeze the pipe too tight, because then they're just going to cut off all flow. And this, again, I cannot stress how ridiculous the Howey test is. You could literally find a way to make a sock some type of security, depending on how you sold your argument or your defense case. Basically, it's quite absurd. So Nick Starr is saying their tokens are already approved in Liechtenstein. Again, there was another company that already did this. They did it back in 2016, and they had a great, what was it, hedge token? Hedge token. I don't know. Remember what they became. They're already an approved Liechtenstein exchange. They actually have an indice of all the traded cryptos that their token is attached to. It's actually a really unique idea. Anyways, they were one of the first to do this, and their token did quite well. I remember the original launch of the token probably returned us, I think we put in only like $1,500, and at its high it was at like 30,000 or something. I don't know what it's at now. It's probably at around a few grand. I never looked back at it. Some of these just sit and I don't pay attention. I'm just like, yeah, whatever. You can only pay attention to so much. Anyways, I show you? So anyways, Hedge Token was one of the first to do that. I'm not sure what their price is at nowadays. We can probably just go to CoinGecko here and find out. But yes, that's actually a pretty good idea. I think we'll see more of these types of indices built in countries that are more lenient on regulations. Let's see if Hedge Token even shows up here. Hedge Trade, maybe they turn into Hedge Trade. I'm not sure. Anyways, it's besides the point. Down 14 in the last 14 days, down 50%. Wow, they got hit. And then at one point they were up at 34 cents, and now they're down at 11 cents. Wild market movement here, again, leading into March 2019. Wow, great price surge, Jesus. Anyways, I'm not even sure if that's the same token. It looks like a similar logo, but I've seen stuff like that before, and it's very interesting to me. So let's jump back in. We'll answer a few more of your guys' questions. So I've seen you guys want to take a look at Cardano, as well as, let's take a look at what else on Hex. So I don't have obviously there's no way to chart Hex at the particular moment. So what I will do, I don't know much about what Richard Hart is trying to put together with Hex. But I can tell you that there's a lot of gray area in the way it's put together, at least from my understanding. Now, let's at least assume that I'm a fucking idiot and I'm a layman at everything, right? But what I can tell you is that there is very definitive literature that makes me hesitant to ever look at something like that. No matter who's doing it, it's not the right way. There's a big, I don't know, I don't want to talk badly because I haven't looked into it deeply enough, but some of the way it's written is very wearisome to me. My friend and attorney, who's fantastic, we had a very similar sentiment. Now, I didn't dive in any further, and neither did he, so don't take it as a negative one, but just right off the get-go, there are a few words there that are counterintuitive to the way I like to play. Not that means, who knows, he's right. Anyone who gets in on an MLM first is usually successful. Right? I mean, I've actually been having conversations with people that do MLMs in Asia and in the United States and Canada. If you have anything that's even closely related to multi-level marketing, unless it's just affiliate-driven marketing where you get a percentage of the commission based off your referrals, which is a very common industry practice, but anything that leads into multi-level marketing, something like Herbalife or there are other companies. BitConnect was an MLM scheme as well. If there's even a hint of that type of writing in the northern world, it's doomed for failure because most people won't touch it with a stick yet. But apparently in Asia, it's a big thing. Everybody wants to rush in to be the first one, even they know it's a scam, because they know if they're the first ones in, they might be the most to benefit from it. So I don't know. It's really the wording, how a company operates. I don't know anything about the tech or the coding behind it. It's just the wording that really looks abstract to me. I apologize, Richard Hart. It's not a diss on you. It's just the wording. I've been in marketing and advertising my whole life, and it just doesn't. It's anything that smells of an MLM in my world is like, I don't want to touch it. Even if you might be successful, because he's right. If you're the first person to get in, that's where you'll make the most money. But that's the same for every MLM program. Anyways, I don't know. Like I said, I haven't looked at the code, so I don't want to sound like an idiot. I don't know anything about their coding structure, or if there's definitive ideas and what's happening there. It's just the wording. So anyways, let's take a look at Cardano and EOS and LItecoin. Those are the ones you guys had asked for. Let's take a look at a few more of you guys here. Cool, I'll just dive into the chart then and we'll go from there. Okay, so we went over Bitcoin already. Yeah, hitting 5,100 now. Fantastic. And let's take a look at EOS, LItecoin, and Cardano. Those are the ones that you guys had asked for. Currently on the daily, EOS has been sitting on a short, basically a short through our cloud, both clouds actually, at around the 10,000 spot. We can look if we found any support recovery. Yeah, actually just now, we're actually having a support recovery signal on EOS on the 2 hour and go out down here to the 4 hour. Same 3 hour. Yeah, we're getting closer to the cloud in the 4 and the 3 hour, but we're not there yet. But on the 2 hour, we're right there. Same with the 1 hour. Actually, since around 8,700 satoshis, we broke through both clouds, which is actually a strong signals, especially on these somewhat larger time frames. We hit the top of the cloud here, which is also around the top of the EMA. So you had multiple support resistance coming in at this area. So EOS is actually, looks like it's in a good position for a short swing trade. Not financial advice or investment in just anything. Strictly for information purposes only. So interesting. EOS actually looks like a little tasty bite right now, and we'll just leave it at that. We have a great write-up in the article about EOS. We're more bullish on it now long term. Let's see what happened to that. There we go. For those of you that are interested in Cardano, let's start off at the daily and kind of move in from there. On the daily, it's been on a short signal through both clouds since around 1,500 satoshis. I'm gonna leave it at that. Where are we looking to find support and resistance? Well, we can really quickly grab the fan, and then we can scroll down through the time chart. So if we fib fan it, we're down at the 236. This is actually generally a good entry point that I look for on single waves or entire wave extensions. Now from here we'll go down. We'll look at the 4 hour chart. Yeah, it's been on a short signal through both clouds since 1,700, and it's down at 1,200 right now. On the 2 hour, we're still below the cloud on the 2 hour, so good sign. On the 1 hour, we're finally actually finding some consolidation in the cloud, as you can see here. If I remove this fib fan, let's see, where's the end of the fan? Oh, come on here. Okay, here's the fib fan. Delete that. There you go. Scroll in. And here you go. You can actually see we're actually below the cloud even on the 1 hour, so I don't suspect that that's going to lead for more positive momentum. I would suspect that if we're about to break through the 236 line on this particular wave, we will come back down to test the previous areas. I won't even scroll in any closer to take a look there. But definitely not yet, but the potential for finding an entry into Cardano is there. Although, again, the big assertion here is going to be what the heck does Bitcoin's price do? But Cardano, at least on the daily, is hitting the 236 line on your first wave extension there. And I turned some of my key. No, they're not on. Okay. Either way. Now, you guys also wanted to look at Litecoin, and then any of your other questions you want to ask, let's take a look. This is what the live chats are supposed to be for. Ooh, Litecoin on the day. Oh, that's US dollar. Let's type Litecoin to BTC. Much more important for our understanding. Wow. Yeah, so as we had mentioned, Litecoin invalidated the cup and handle we were looking for at around 15,000 Satoshis. And we broke through both clouds on the daily, and then first on the daily at 15,000, and then again on our secondary, or at least on the Ichimoku cloud, your standard Ichimoku cloud, at 14,000 Satoshis. So we're still in that cloud now at a short signal. I guess just what we want to do is roll down here. Still everything's broken below the cloud, haven't moved into it. Here you go. On the 2 hour, you've actually moved into the cloud. So I would suspect that there's a small little position play here. Again, not financial advice. It's only around 3%, but there's a small little position play there. Like what? I mean, you throw 10 grand in on a 3% move between here, probably touch here, and then that top EMA. Although I would really look for a close of a candle, which you might be seeing here now. Now you might see this candle close below, or sorry, above this EMA, which will be bullish and give you that quick 3% run for Litecoin. Again, both Litecoin on the US dollar and the Bitcoin have been short because we invalidated the initial cup and handle that we have been looking at on the daily, which would have been a fantastic move, but it invalidated totally at 15,000 Satoshis. Although, like I said, here's that nice bounce off the EMA too, right? Look at that. Look at that candle wick. See, here's the volume of the body on this is what we were talking about earlier too. The volume of the body is directly on your EMA, and then all the wick is below it. Beautiful bullish signal, actually, especially because it didn't close in the daily above it. And then you had a nice little 4% run from Litecoin already, although Bitcoin's still not showing a lot of positive momentum. It could drag the rest of them down with it as well. So I'll take a look at a few of your guys' questions. We'll roll in. Again, smash that thumbs up if you enjoy this content. I'm so grateful for all of you guys joining us in the live stream. Maybe you can, if you want, join our community Telegram channel in the links below. If you haven't signed up and want to be one of our private members, the doors are wide open still. We might actually just leave it. We might just leave $30. We won't go any higher than that, I think is the case. Everyone from here on out can pay $30, and then there's just that first 250 people that made the grandfather bear price at $20. So thank you all for the initial supporters and backers. You guys are the ones that we're getting the content as we're producing it as well. So like I said, we'll have our second chapter of the book out this week, or today, hopefully, the newsletter tomorrow. We have a bunch of new awesome infographics coming your guys' way too. So it's very, very exciting. Let's take a look at your guys' thoughts and questions now. I'm just gonna, I don't know what's being said here, so I'm gonna put this user in a timeout because I can't understand it. Oh, wait, they were talking in a different language. Oh, you guys are talking in German or something. Have you an opinion on Very? No. So I exited almost all of my positions in May last year into Bitcoin, and I just wrote it out from there. I remember talking with everyone when I had consolidated my positions. Ethereum was up at around $400. Litecoin was at about $1.60, and everyone was like, "You're crazy." It's like, well, so much for being crazy. I've been crazy my whole life. I'm used to it already, ladies and gentlemen. You don't have to tell me. Okay, so what do I think about Veri? Let's take a look at the charts then. I guess it's probably what you're asking. On Bittrex, not the Veritasium. Wow, Veritasium isn't on. Can't chart it at all here. Okay, well, if I can't chart it, it's not going to be any fun. So we'll just look at it on CoinGecko here. It's wow, $13. It's actually been relatively stable at that $13 range. So that's about probably as low as it's going to go. I can't chart it, so I have no real sentiments or data. But look at that last high. Where were the last highs? Jesus, $400 at its high. Anyone like I remember this too. We were looking at it in October, and you had a huge run up. Yeah, this was crazy. These were all, everything had such a crazy run last year. Again, this is why I consolidated back into Bitcoin. It's like, well, that was fun. What's next? Okay, let's take a look. Where's the rest of your guys' thoughts and questions? And then after that, we'll just roll out. We've been live for I don't know how long now. Arcane, Nick Star says, won't STOs? STOs are just some BS to try to get around the regulatory. It's some nonsense. It's ICOs. It's all the same thing. What you find is that, okay, if you let someone invest a little bit of money that doesn't know how to actually invest, then they're idiots, because all of a sudden they need that money for diapers. And you're thinking to yourself, well, of course, this is why they only allow accredited investors, is because when you give a bunch of little babies the ability to invest, like in the beginning of a startup company that want their money right away, they don't realize that the growth of a company should take years to see a return of any kind. Like, oh my God, but all the craze, and should have been making billions from BitConnect. You just have a bunch of idiot investors. But that's the joy. You want everyone to be able to invest in the beginning of Facebook, whether they're stupid or not, because maybe they made a stupid, brilliant decision. But the problem is they generally don't know how to make it through a year or 2 years or 3 years without being able to touch something or, take profits or da-da-da-da-da. So this whole STO thing is bullshit, I think. It's just a way to get around regulatory ideas. It's no different than an ICO. They're just trying to write a different name. It's like, it's the same thing. Can't be any different. And if they think it is, they're lying. Unless you're trying to build in corporate structure, which is actually equity placement, which has already been done, right? You can already do that on Ravencoin, right? You can already do that on a bunch of tokens. So I don't know why this whole STO craze took over. Seems like some logistical nonsense. Let's see. BTC dumps more now. Okay, we'll take a look at Bitcoin. Yeah, it's down at 50.73. Let's see here. We'll take a look. We'll take a look at Bitcoin. Maybe we'll end it here today. We'll look a little bit further on the, or we'll look a little closer on the smaller time frames, and then we'll go out from there. Yeah, so here we're dropping, and we're about to test some of its support levels around the $5,000 area. And this has been the consistent floor. As you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 hits of that spot now. This has been a really strong area. So I would suspect we're gonna know our price action for Bitcoin's next 2 weeks here, probably in the next little while. Again, I don't think the Tether thing really even has that much to do with this entire market movement. Everyone that's blaming it on Bitfinex, I don't think that's the case. I think we were probably going to drop anyways. It was just the thing that happened that helped that drop take place. It was inevitable. In my mind, it was inevitable, unless we closed on the daily at 5,600, and we just couldn't do it. We tried multiple times too. Almost, at least, let's see, 59, let's say 59, 51, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times in a very short area. 1, 2, 3, 4, or at least 4. Sorry, looks like I might have been counting wicks that didn't exist. No, they're there. Shit, they're there. It's around 7 times, right? Depending on what, I'm on the 30-minute wick right now. So, yeah, and Bitcoin's down at 50.40 currently. So this is going to be a big day for Bitcoin. Again, I don't think it has anything to do with Bitfinex. Anyone that's blaming Bitfinex, I don't think Again, one of the things about technical analysis is we're measuring sentiment. We're not, and sentiment can come from anywhere. It was leading indicators that we were going to go down anyways. We knew that. We knew that it went 52, 54, 56, possibly somewhere around 6 grand, and then come down again. The bearish sentiment never left the table. We were just looking at what was possible in this retracement wave. Again, so it's beautiful. What a beautiful thing. Anyways, very exciting at 50.65 for Bitcoin. I'll take a look at one or two more guys' questions. I want to jump on. I got a phone call I'm excited to make here, and then we'll go from there. Which stable coin is the safest for now? You know what's funny, Jay Constant? I started using TUSD. I don't normally do that. I like to do that infrequently unless I feel that Bitcoin's out. So I'm actually sitting in TUSD since yesterday. But anyways, the point of this is, what's the safest one? I'm not sure. I like TrueUSD. They have a very easy backing platform to check. But also, you know, Binance token has been doing well, but because it's so high, I would, it's hard to say, but it's been doing really good at just consistently going up. So that seems like a good stable token, stably going up. But in terms of stability on the short term, Binance token doesn't offer that. Its fluctuations can be in the multiple percent. Like yesterday, it was down 8% versus Bitcoin. Well, it was only down 5. So I don't know what that would be. Jeff A says, would you be the low if we would have another correction? Well, this is a huge question on the table right now for all bulls and bears, is where do you think the correction would take us? You know, the strongest points of support and resistance on the daily, I believe, are around 4,200. Yeah, right where the cross is. Okay, so around 4,400. But you have nothing in the volume profile holding you up until 4,000. So Wix, as far down as 4,000 would be likely. Now on the 4-day, no, or the 4-hour, nothing, no. On the 2-hour, okay, yeah. See, on the 2-hour we broke. What about the 3-hour? Yeah, on the 3-hour we're breaking that average too, and we're about to close below it. It looks like, which is not a great sign, especially if you have this EMA cross this 200 moving average. Yeah, all eyes are going to be on Bitcoin today. I think we're in a very, very interesting spot. We might see a big bounce up again to retest at least 52 and 5,300, which is quite commonly the case. We know there's a bunch of big institutions that want to throw billions into this space, so they'll be dollar costing their average in everywhere between $6,000 and $3,000, I would imagine. And that's a pretty safe bet. Anywhere between 6,000 and 3,000 is a good ladder to entry. Not investment advice, but probably it's a great entry. Anything, I still think that there's room for that 1,600 to 2,800 to come in, but we have to, now that we're at the top of the B wave that we knew would come, now we get to follow that B wave down and figure out, well, where is it, that CDE that we are looking for, or just the C, which brings us down to maybe and then we'll know from there. We'll know from the degradation of this wave, essentially. That will give us a much clearer definition. Anyways, we'll leave it at that. Thank you guys all for joining us on this live stream today. I had a fantastic time with you. I know we don't do the live streams all the time, but I do believe we will look at doing it once every Sunday or maybe once every Monday. I don't know. Leave your guys' thoughts in the comments down below on which days you think would be the best to do it. From there, we'll just keep doing our pre-recorded videos. Again, you can join our Telegram channel for free. If you want to join the private Bear Den, that's open. We'll just leave it wide open for $30 a month for everybody. So we won't cap it off at the next 250 people for that price. That'll be the end price. So just everyone that got in early got that special discount, and you guys will be able to keep that. If anyone leaves, then everyone that was in the slightly more expensive price will just be grandfathered in for whoever's in line, essentially. Anyways, we'll just leave it off at that. Smash that thumbs up, give each other a pat on the back, be excited, because like I said last video, we're some of the first people here still, and this is such a beautiful space to be growing. And also thank you to the entire Bear family community. You guys are so helpful of one another. It's absolutely a brilliant space to be a part of, and I'm very grateful. We will see you guys on the other side. Thank you for joining us. Look, this is